Yo, 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 yo. It is another episode of the number one weekend hip hop podcast in the game. It is the Weekend Rhyme. I'm your boy, RKY. That is Leroy Green. We back at it again. We got an incredible show for you today. We're going to talk about Do or Die 3 from AZ, 30 plus years in the making, the trilogy. We're going to talk about what it means, what we felt about it. Is there a new category of rap that we need to explore? Also, Wiz Khalifa and Currency dropped some new music recently. We want to get into that. Also, there's been a lot of backlash with the wave of new things in the media regarding voting acts and voting rights for Killer Mike. So the cross section between politics and hip hop with Killer Mike, we're going to talk about a little bit. But yeah, we got a jam-packed show. Before we get started, we need you to do the needful. You need to hit like and subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend. We want you to share this. Make sure you buy us a cup of coffee. Make sure you send us a super chat, super thanks. But before we start, I want to exchange some pleasantries. Leroy, how you been, man? What's going on in your world, brother?
I've been chilling, man. You know what I mean? Just me personally, I got to work on music myself. I can't be lagging there because, it's like I got, stuff I want to do. But I've been listening to a lot of rap too. Recently the notion is, like everything got to revolve around Drake. That's cool. I understand the magnitude, but there are other albums dropping, so I'm going through listening to other albums. You know what I'm saying?
See, I didn't even on the rundown. I didn't even talk about Drake, man. Why? See, you brought him up. See, I didn't even bring him up.
Yeah, I did. My bad. My
You
my
brought
bad.
him
I
up.
brought him up.
You brought him up. I didn't even bring him up. See, you not. Come on, man.
Hey,
There'll
I'm
be
just
plenty of
saying,
time to
no
discuss.
shots.
There'll be plenty of time to discuss Drake. I'm
Yeah,
hearing that in the next week, the weather forecast is going to be record breaking, like
I'm not
cooler
sending no
temps.
shots, man.
It's
But
gonna be like
y'all,
cooler temperatures. It's gonna be
yeah,
a cold front coming across the country. I saw it on the weather channel this morning. They got cold front coming from Canada all the way down to the United States. I think it's gonna
I've
be
never
cold.
seen this infatuated. Y'all are
It's gonna
more
be cold in
infatuated.
Los Angeles. It's
Yeah,
sweeping the Midwest. It's gonna be record lows in Houston.
hip
Uh,
hop is more infatuated with Drake than Tupac. I've never seen that. So I
well,
mean,
there's gonna be
I've
plenty of
never seen that. Y'all are
there's
more infatuated with Drake than anybody
there's
I've
gonna be
ever
plenty of
seen.
time to talk about this cold front that's coming.
I
The
think it's
ice is
gonna be the
coming.
same thing he does like every time. He just
That's
dropped
fine.
a song like yesterday.
Let's get to the
Did y'all
show.
care? Y'all know he got a new song out, right?
Drake wasn't even on the topic of discussion. It
He
wasn't on
got
the
a new
list of
song
items.
now.
It wasn't on the list of items we are going to discuss. Let's get to the show. Let's talk about this AZ album, Do or Die 3, the trilogy. He's back. Solid
Mm,
album. The song when Nas was dope. I like the outro. The outro was very interesting, right? I think we made it. Is the name of the song. We made it was the name of the song. He talked
right.
about he was very emotional on that record, right? When I heard that record, I thought about it, how we need to let's take a step back and pay respect to the vets in the game, right? They've seen a lot, they've been through a lot. And there's also this conversation about a year or so when Pete Rock and Common came out, or when Nas, did his resurgence with Hit Boy. Should there be a
Yeah.
new category of rap called like adult contemporary rap? And just hearing how emotional AZ was on that record, talking about the people that, he lost and the appreciation he had of being a veteran in the game as someone who actually made it through different situations. I thought that was very important, right? I can't think of a record. Maybe I can think of like some Ghostface records and maybe some Raekwon records or even Jay-Z records sometimes, you know what I'm saying, on 444 where I heard a rapper, that emotional on a record. You know what I'm saying? That kind of touched me in a little bit, but I was like, well, damn. But again, I think Do or Die 3 was a very solid effort. I think the song about Jackie was a callback from the first Do or Die. You know what I'm saying? Jackie's all grown now, and she been
Right.
checking out. She been
It's
checking
been
AZ for a
updated.
minute. You know what I'm saying? She
Yeah.
might be an auntie, but she's still out there trying to get it. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. It was a callback. It was a callback to the first Do or Die. Mike and Keys did some solid production on this joint. They did a couple joints on the album. What else did I like on there? I liked a lot. I mean, it was a really good, easy listening experience. And I want to kind of reemphasize my first point. The point I'm trying to make is that we need to. What made me, take a step back, and my main takeaway from the AZ album is that we need to appreciate our artists and hip hop as they age. I thought it was a very solid up, mature album. The production was solid, and I guess I got to give my hats off to the final song. We made it. The
Right.
callback to Tag was dope. Anyway, shout out to AZ. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Was it something that took was a departure musically from what he normally does? No. Was it vocally was it a departure what we normally get from AZ over the last 30 plus years? No. But again, it was enjoyable. It's like seeing like you know hip hop legends and music legends and rock acts give you what they normally give you. It was
Right.
really tight. It was really concise, and I thought it was dope. So, what say you, Leroy, about the project Dot 3?
That was dope. You know what I mean? The production, it stood out to me. The vintage flow and delivery that he's always had. His character as a person has always been there. As far as the titles of adult contemporary rap or anything like that, I stopped listening to kids rapping in like probably like '95. So I stopped listening to kids rapping a long time ago. So everything is adult to me. Like that's because I don't But and even now in the game, I don't think we have any like young rap. We have people pretending to be young. You know what I mean? That's the issue. But these guys actually are not young. But AZ, he did what he's supposed to do. Start. I think like the like I said last time we were here, hip hop is going through a refining of the sound. Did I say that right? A refinement of the sound, a refining. So the first song, the piano intro, he was just rapping over the piano. That's fire. He talks about his growth into a man. This man he's not a kid no more. He's still fire. The second song with Ron Browse. Ron Browse produced the first song and the intro. No need for lactose. So if y'all remember Do or Die, that you heard that in the background, when he's about to go into uncut. That was fire. Uniqueness, Mike and Keys, fire. The first video with the where they were looking at the paintings and all that stuff, that was really fire. Um, give me the world with Jadakiss. I could have used the Jadakiss verse. I could have used the Jadakiss verse,
Wasn't a big fan
but
of the hook. I wasn't a big
it
fan
is what
of.
it is.
I wasn't a big fan of the hook on that joint. I was a little disappointed in that joint.
It's the original hook. It's the hook from '95. It's the same hook.
Yeah, but it just didn't sound. I know it's the same hook, but it just didn't sound.
Right.
I just don't
I,
like how it was
I get what
delivered
they're.
in
Yeah.
2026. It just sounded a little off to me. That's all.
I get what he was trying to go to it with, but Max B, he sounds a little off when he delay, but that's what people like. But I get where he was going. I could have used the verse there from Jada, but it is what it is. So high, this I think it was a lead off single by Bink, that was fire. Surprise with Nas, fire. Just that whole exchange of them going back and forth in the hook line for line. That's always been dope. Whenever they get together, like the Essence or what I mean, any of their mini collabs, there is a magic there. Fresh Water. That I played that song so many times. It's like a ridiculous amount of times I have played that song because it's just like super fire to me. It's something about it. Bink on the beat. Bink is underrated, man. Been around since the Rockefeller days or whatever. And that Fresh Water was fire. Winners Win, Buck Wild beat, dope. I Once Was There, Static Selector, dope. Love My Life, that was dope. And like the last song, like you mentioned, We Made It. You know, it is emotional. You know what I'm saying? Like again, like I was saying with the Stove God Cooks thing, to the audience is just product. To the rapper, this is real life. What I mean? This is real. This ain't product. Like I'm really rapping my real life. Like for a lot of MCs, so it's like it's emotional. You feel what I'm saying? Like, y'all like it's a lot that goes into being an artist for real. You know what I mean? You standing up in front of crowds of people and just telling your life. You know what I mean? And he been doing it 30 years, so this will be the last Do or Die. I'm sure there won't be a Do or Die for because trilogy is the charm. Third time is the charm. But for him to get emotional at the end, I felt that too, and well deserving. It's like he put in his time. He delivers something that's vintage to us, something that we recognize as signature AZ, Sosa, his style and his sound and his beats and the comfortability in his delivery, the maturity in what he's saying. We're all used to that, because that's what he's been doing for 30 years. I would say this album is better than a lot of the albums that I've got from him in the past, and it's not him lyrically per se. It's the production that I didn't always feel um, matched him, you know. But in this particular case, the production was on point, man. So I enjoyed the album, man. Do or Die 3 out of 5, whatever, 5 slaps. I give it like 3.75 slaps. That's where I'm at with it, and only because it's being true to yourself. I'd rather, as crazy as it sounds, I'd rather sell whatever I sell being authentically me than to come out and just do something not authentically me and then skyrocket and have to, pretend to be. So, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather just be exactly who I'm gonna be and sell whatever that sells. And AZ, he does that, man. So I appreciate that. And it's not gonna get much. It's not gonna get much news this week. It's not gonna get much talked about because, it's AZ. And people, I do think with the ageism in hip hop or the youngest, I don't know why. Well, I know why. It's predatory as far as business is concerned. They want to catch somebody in their 20s because you don't know nothing. I could make you sign over all your publishing, you don't know what you're doing. I just give you some little bit of bread. But there's something to be said about the older MCs, and that when I was young, I sought out older MCs. Like I would go through, and like if I saw somebody that was in their 30s, because keep in mind back in the day, if you was 30, we considered that like OG status. So I looked, and when I saw Scarface, I had to get that because I was trying to learn something in the music. You know what I'm saying? That was where my mind was at. So it is what it is, man. So Az, he did his thing, man. I enjoyed the album. I'm hearing a lot of positive reaction to it from basically people within our own demographic, our own space. Pod space. We've been around since the '90s. We're familiar with Az. We already know, you know what I mean, all that entails. So I'm hearing a lot of good stuff, and the album's fire, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to circle back to what I said earlier. I do think we should, and maybe it's not a separate genre, but maybe it's just a separate appreciation of where you know, hip hop artists that are getting older, that are legacy acts, are in this stage of the game, and there should be a their own. I mean, it's called classic hip hop, maybe either classic hip hop or adult and contemporary hip hop, whatever you want to call it. But I think there should be a lane for that because right now, what Az did and what what Nas does, and what Pete Rock and Common do, and what Q-Tip and LL did, and what Rakim did last year, and what Master Ace does, it's a separation of what they're true to themselves, as you said, right? They make, they're not trying to, reinvent what they did years ago. They're still they're speaking on things in their lyrics. Um, uh, there's something like contemporary, and it's something new and something fresh from their lens and where they are in this stage of life. So I do think we should appreciate it. I think there's a lane for it. I mean, we see it all the time. They have the cruises, the hip hop cruises where a lot of the legacy acts go on tour, and people in our demo go and check out. I do think it's okay. I mean, for some artists that want to tap into to the youth, it's good to do. I mean, you look at artists like French, who had a verses, and Rick Ross, who are in their 40s, and French might be in his 30s. Like French might be like late 30s, like 38. Yeah, he's in his late 30s. But Max is a little up there. Max is a little up there, and then Ross is, I think, a little bit either at 50 or north of 50. Yeah, he still tries to tap into the youth a little bit and try to connect with a younger audience, and I think
What
that's
what what, what are we tapping into the youth for? Like I understand, but what?
it's a youthful energy. It's a youthful energy. It's like when Ron Isley, right, and the Isley brothers worked with R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? And R. Kelly gave him a little different sound, or like when Charlie Wilson, worked with R. Kelly,
It,
they gave him a little
it
younger
was all
sound.
grown ass men.
I
But
know, but
I hear you.
they were grown, but the sound was a little bit, different. You know what I'm saying? It's like when R. Kelly kind of switched up when he was grown. He started wearing throwbacks and do rags, and he was like popping bottles in the club and took R&B in a different direction. Some can say that was negative to
Yeah,
R&B. That could have been a negative mark for R&B because there was a period of time, and I think R. Kelly could be the source of that, where R&B turned into hip hop. It was talking about taking your chick, popping bottles in the club, wearing like the hip hop
that's a
clothes.
sound.
So, but I don't know. So I don't. What my point is, I'm trying to say is we should embrace this. We should embrace artists like AZ. There should be a lane for them, and I think there is a lane because I think people from our generation appreciate what they've done. We were there at the genesis of it, in the late '80s, early '90s, even in the 2000s, early 2000s. So I do appreciate it. Again, I think he did a phenomenal job on the album. Again, for some people, I've heard some different reactions, and we'll speak of that later. That he didn't really depart from his normal sound, and some of the beats might have been production might have been boring, or it just didn't give you anything outside the box. But again, that's okay. I think this is professional rap. He's a professional MC. He's a professional rapper, and he's going to give you a professional. It's like a quarterback. They always talk about. I heard about in NFL is guys. There's some superstars. There's guys that the young guys, but there's also people that have been in the league for like 10, 15 years, who are just professionals. They're professional quarterbacks. They know the game inside out, and I think AZ knows
Yeah,
the game
well,
inside out, and
yeah,
and we appreciate it.
yeah, he's doing what is comfortable for him. I get the but the only thing about making these different categories is people are already gonna make their own categories for stuff anyway. So that's one layer right there. Then when you come in and you add another, when you add a category, that's another layer there. That's two different categories and subdivisions. So it's like it keeps getting boxed in and boxed in. My whole thing is like I think it's just a trick, man. This whole thing about the youth this and the youth that and hip hop being a youth I think that's a trick. All my life I've been seeing grown men in hip hop. So I don't know, and then rarely do I hear a young artist that's better than a veteran. I almost never see that ever in any setting, in the studio, behind the boards, at a show, on whatever we're doing. I almost never see a young artist better than a veteran. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's like, if that's the case, I'm in the studio with a lot of youngsters too. Like, not recently, but I have been over my life. Rarely do I see a youngster who has all his stuff together musically. I'm not just talking bit. I'm talking musically like a veteran. I almost never see that. They're usually finding themselves because they're in their youth. So we use the finding yourself archetype to lead the culture. Someone who's kind of unsure about who they are, unsure about the musical direction they're taking, unsure about where they want to go in life. I don't know if that's a wise decision. You know what I'm saying? Now, the youthful energy, I feel that, and I feel that if the older folks want to tap into that, academics were saying something about that. Jay-Z doing it on Magna Carta, but all the artists, veterans, have done tapped into some younger sounding music, but they're still themselves even over that younger sounding music. And again, this isn't an attack to the youth, but I rarely ever see a Big Sean, somebody who's a teenager or still in high school, rapping like Big Sean was rapping. I almost never see that. So, you know what I mean? Like where I think it's just it's a trick, man. You know what I mean? The thinking that hip hop was some. I mean it did start out as a youth thing. LL Cool J was a youth, but he started to refine his sound, man. But at this point, I think it should be some adults in the room, man. Like I don't think a youth can carry hip hop. I don't think their shoulders is strong enough for that. Like what kid y'all want to put the cultures on his shoulders? Like who? You know what I'm saying? Like and when once you go find that kid, he's gonna be 30. He's gonna be 30. Like that's the kids now, and hip hop is like 30. You know what I mean? So that's the youngest demographic we got. We don't have no 20s. Who? That's
Mm,
who?
Dirk is Dirk 30. Dirk might be 30. Dirk. You got
Okay.
you
All
got
right. Dirk,
you
shout
got
out to Dirk.
the NBA young boy.
out to all of them. You know what I'm saying? But and that's cool.
Nardo,
There's a place.
Nardo Wick, you know.
There's a place for everything. But when it comes down to quality, though, so we have to learn to appreciate quality. But once something is old, we assume that's not quality. And I have a different opinion. The longer you do something professionally, I think you get better at it and better at it. And but that's what I've seen for a lot of the parts in hip hop. The veterans just get better and better, or they maintain. They just maintain their level of excellence that they were at. But like a youth, it leads us into disaster and like this constant, watching of the numbers. Yes, numbers plays a role, but you can't move the goalpost. When Takashi comes out and does more than everybody, then is he Takashi the king too now? So you can't move the goalpost. You know what I mean? You got to keep the same energy for everybody, man. But I think that you know, there should be more catered to an adult audience though, because when we go out into the real world, we see mostly adults out there in the club at the shows. It's mostly adults. If you go to like festivals or something, you'll see the youth, or in the summertime you'll see the youth, but more so it's mostly adults out there. And also, when you're adult, you have more fun than the youth. I know the youth years is super fun, but y'all know that adults be having ridiculous fun. Because they don't have no, it's nothing stopping them from, you know what I mean? You as an adult, you go out, you got your money, you got your car, you got your fit, you know everything about the streets, you know who's who, you know you. So it's like you're amped to have more fun. You're more traveled. You're more, you know what I'm saying? You're more sophisticated. It's like you're more apt to have more fun than somebody who's still trying to find an identity in society. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're an adult, you know who you are already. Like you know who you are. You know what is what. You're more apt to have more fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm me. I'm comfortable being me. So when you're a youth, you still trying to figure out what type of human you want to be. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion, man. It may be a long winded, but that's my opinion.
No, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I think as we get older in hip hop, they say hip hop was 50, 51, 52. I think it's older than that. I think we're gonna get away from a lot of this ageism talk, right? And we're gonna start appreciating our artists where they are in life. And I think that day is coming, right? So these things won't be feel as I think these things are feeling more natural, right? With the Nas and Hit Boy run, and what Rakim did, and what LL and Q-Tip did, and with Raekwon coming back out, and Supreme Clientele 2, and then 444 with Jay Z coming back out. I'm seeing a lot of this conversations dissipate a little bit, even though Jay Z tried to bring this in the conversation. They say it was a subliminal shot at Iceman in his interview with the New York Times. Maybe
Okay.
not. I didn't take it that way. You know what I mean? But some say that's what
I
that
think
was
it's
about.
yeah.
And that's as some say. DJ Academic thought it was academics, and others thought it was a shot at
I
Drake.
get it.
Um, and
He was talking to everybody, but I get it.
I think it's okay. And shout out to Snoop. Snoop's another person that another MC that's kind of aged with hip hop. And then you got Roz Kaz, and you got Exhibit. Um, so
But
yeah,
even a
as we move forward, and as we move forward as a culture, I don't think you'll have this conversation. Go ahead, Leroy.
no, I don't think we should be having it at all. Period. But it's like a new, even new artist. I think if you're an older artist, you should still rap only because the stigma attached to it will be, oh, you shouldn't rap. So in my opinion, well then you should rap. If people got to tell you you shouldn't rap. You have adult children. I think maybe you should rap then. You know what I mean? Just to give a perspective that is not out there, that is not you. You know what I'm saying? But it's just I think it's a game, man, by corporate America to confuse you into believing that we always have to look for a 20-year-old, and that's because they don't know what they're signing up for. I think that's
Yeah,
business. You know?
I think music. I think in life, and people look at music, especially hip hop, as a sport and a competitive
Right.
sport, and they say sports are a young man's game. So I can see why. the natural need. But let's segue to other artists, other veterans, professional MCs, professional hip hop musicians. Currency and Wiz Khalifa, they just dropped their new project, their joint project together.
Yep.
I'll give a brief synopsis of it because I don't want to come across as critical. I don't want to come across as negative.
Go ahead.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the album. Right. Let me just say that. Right. But it comes to a point. And I think I mentioned this to you on another pod. I can't think of the artist. Maybe it was Benny the Butcher that I said this. The song, maybe it was Lloyd Banks too. The songs just sound, they're just good. They're professional hip songs. They sound good. But I can't distinguish. No song really pops out to me and says, "Oh, I got to hear this again," or it just stays in my memory and it stays in my soul and it stays in my being, in my essence. It's just dope music, and it's nothing that really stands
I
out.
feel
It's nothing that really like I'm pushing repeat on. I'm putting it on a playlist, or I'm gonna be thinking about it 2 weeks from now.
um,
And I asked myself, is that okay? Is that okay? Is it easy listening hip hop? Is that another genre, right? Where you just push play. The only song that really kind of stood out to me that I probably would play again, that I did play again, was the
um,
last song. What was the name of that record? And the name of the album is called Ruthless Records for Drop
was
Tops. Just one. Um,
or I thought it was just
Robbery Twins was the only one that
okay.
sounded different to me, musically, and kind of piqued my ears up a little bit. But other than that, you know, um, the same one was okay. Stoned and Leave was okay. Jet Life Taylor was all right. But again, the songs are good. And I'm not saying this as a criticism, and I think they know this. I think when when they make this is music that they can make this music in their sleep, right? There's nothing. No one would say this is a classic. Nobody would say this is one of the albums of the year. It's just dope music. It's professional hip hop music. I don't know. It could be in the
No.
top 10 list. I don't know, but again, I don't even remember the last. OJ and Kush too. I don't remember the last Wiz album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
but it's
can't.
something special about Currency and Wiz together. That's
Okay, and
something.
I'll let you do a deep dive into that. But I'm just saying, for me as a hip hop fan, nothing really stood out on the album. And again, it's not a knock. I think it was a
Know
solid
what you mean?
album. I enjoyed the album. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but it's not something I'm gonna go back and revisit a week from now or 2 weeks from now. What say you, Leroy? Is my take wrong? Am I off base about that?
No, I wouldn't say that.
I said the same thing about Lloyd Banks. I said the same thing about who else did I say that about? It
I
was
wouldn't
Lloyd
say that.
Banks, Benny the Butcher. All the songs start to sound, the same to me. I can't tell you the name of them. I can't tell you the just what say you?
Well, well, I think now that you got to drop a song every day if you're gonna be, like that's how oversaturated things are. So what I say about that is, Currency. This is like he's done thousands of songs. Wiz Khalifa made thousands. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how much do they got in the tank? You know what I mean? To give you that, but it is their music is mostly ethereal, right? You're dealing with the Cheech and Chong of rap. They smoke. You know what I'm saying? So it's ethereal. It's vibey. It's ethereal. You're also dealing with car culture. And I was gonna bring up Jay Worthy a little bit, but just about production. But it's car culture, like music that is meant for you to be riding around in. You see what I'm saying? So in that regard, it really isn't about what you're saying. Now they are saying some fly stuff. Don't get it wrong, but like I think they did more into a jazz bag. I think they did more into like a vibe bag, Miami, type vibes. You know what I mean? But it is about the feeling of it. So in that regard, it's not something that will stick to you like something that affects your life. And I know I've used that criticism against whoever, right? Y'all know, but it's like these rappers is like a restaurant, right? You go in a restaurant because you want what that restaurant makes. Like you've been to that restaurant before. You don't want to get a different menu from that restaurant that you are familiar with. You know what I mean? So if you've gone into the Currency Wiz Khalifa restaurant, whoever, what you're getting because that's the history of what they've been doing. So I think they stay strong there. I enjoy the album. Again, it dips into a jazz band, a jazz type of vibe in hip hop. I think that's refinement of the sound. If people think that could be boring, man, that's cool with me. But Pink Panther, Coin Toss, Champagne, Long as I Live, Storm Shadow, Z28 Chevy, that was all fire to me. There I do look forward to the combination of Currency and Wiz because that's originally how it kind of got fly. You know what I mean? Like in the blog era with them two together. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, okay, that was like they was like, you know what I mean? Like I said, it was like Cheech and Chong, man. You know what I mean? Or the Blues Brothers of weed. You know what I'm saying? So um, I enjoy that combination. I enjoy their the pockets they land in, lyrically, the beats they choose to ride over. But no, it's like, are they Ice Cube? No. The thing about um, making music that it stays with you, right? That's just what people say when they mention the greats. You ask somebody who are the great rappers, they're gonna start mentioning people that have very poignant songs that stick to you. You know what I'm saying? That's who they're gonna mention. They don't mention people like you're not gonna hear when you say, "Well, who are the greats?" Nobody's gonna be like, "Well, Nelly," you know what I mean? And even though he was great, but you see what I'm saying? Like, no one's taking Nelly as like, "Oh, he's top 5," and it's not because he's not good at making music. It's because they're looking in their mind. They land on what sticks to you. You know what I mean? But it's okay to make whatever you're gonna make. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to put up restrictions like don't make this and don't make that. But I do think it's an issue. I'll give a little bit of a critique. If you've been making the same type of music and you for like over a decade and there's no evolution there at all, you know, I do think that there may be a problem. But with Currency and Wiz, I think now is they've built such a strong brand that they got to stay with that brand. They can't move too far to the left or right. I mean, they could do whatever they want, but I'm just saying if Currency and Wiz were to make like the first song on the Clips album, you know what I mean, when they were dedicated to their parents or whatever, their parents passing, um, that may throw the audience for a loop, their audience, you know what I'm saying? So they are staying close to what they do. I enjoy the album, you know what I mean. Between that and the AZ album, my last 2 weeks have been pretty good. I was saying so. I enjoyed it, but I'll leave it up to the people. And again, I'm just cover. We got to cover it because I just don't want things to get lost in the sauce. I know there's a numbers game and there's you feed the algorithm this, that, and the third, but I don't want certain things to get lost in the sauce. Wiz Khalifa, Currency, they've kind of earned their right to be talked about. Az kind of he earned his right to be talked about. So I'm just we got to let's include everything that has dropped. You know what I'm saying? That is of a certain elk or something that we respect, certain cloth. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, 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 yep. So that was a good review. So check out if you haven't checked out the album, go check it out. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, any streaming services that you frequent or subscribe to in a month. Ruthless Records for Drop Tops Disc One, Wiz Khalifa and Currency.
Well,
Check it
hold
out.
on, hold on.
Go
You
ahead.
keep saying disc one. I mean, I think it's two, my friend. Now, am I tripping?
It's Disc One on my Spotify.
It's this part two, my G. Let me see. Now, granted, I've been listening.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I don't have it pulled up. But yeah, I think this is part two because I remember part one. You know what I'm saying? To some degree. Hold on, I'm just pulling it up now, yeah. So, yeah, so Ruthless Records Drop Tops disc two. So this is two. Yeah. You know what
Right
I'm
there.
saying?
My bad.
Nah,
My bad. I
yeah,
stand corrected. Just
these
truth.
dudes drop so much music, man. It's like
It confused me.
next week,
It confused me. It confused me.
yeah, they
All
got like
right.
100, bro.
All
So
right.
it's cool.
We're gonna take it from the West Coast. Well, not the kind of West Coast vibes with Wiz, but he's really a Pittsburgh dude.
Yeah,
And
I mean
currency
yeah, he's
currencies
still
is from New Orleans. We're gonna
yeah.
take it to Atlanta. We're gonna take it to Washington D.C. We're gonna take it to Atlanta, or Washington D.C., and that's how we're gonna connect. So Leroy's been sending me these text messages
I'm
over the
listening.
last few days, and I'm
Hell,
hearing about the news. I've been trying to educate myself on the issue. But what I've been hearing, I looked on Culture United with the company man and others, and one of the titles of the video was "Does Killer Mike owe black people an apology?" So my ears perked up, and I clicked the video, and
right,
I actually watched the video. I watched the video from start to finish, and
right,
I still could not determine why the video would be titled that. Why would Killer Mike owe black people an apology? So I'm a
okay.
little confused, and I'm going to speak to Killer Mike not as a fellow ATL resident and citizen, but if you don't live in Atlanta, you don't pretty much know the work that Killer Mike has done in our community. You know, the children that he's helped, the people that he's fed, the businesses he's built, the people that he's employed, the networks that he's built over his career over the last 20, 25 years, 30 years. You'd have to be in the community to know that. So when I see a title like that, number one, I think you really don't understand who Killer Mike is, right?
Mm.
Number two, maybe there's an issue that we need to connect as a culture and people to discuss, and maybe having Killer Mike at the table to discuss the issue might be a benefit. And three, I think we need to be really careful when we make statements like that. Does Killer Mike owe black people an apology? I think that's very dangerous because if you don't know, if you're not here, I'm not in Oakland, I'm not in New York, I'm not in Chicago, but
Well,
if
the
someone
damn.
were to tell me that a person in Chicago or Memphis or St. Louis is active in their community and has been so for 25 to almost 30 years and it can list all the things that they've done, it could be a little offensive to say does
So
Killer Mike?
is it about?
I think maybe Killer Mike should have a conversation. And maybe that should be the title of the video. Can we have do we need to have a conversation, a political conversation with Killer Mike? That's a little respectful, but to say
But
he
what
owes
if you were wrong? What if Killer Mike is wrong?
wrong about,
Like,
so I would ask you, what is he wrong? What has he been wrong about, and what is he wrong about now? So
okay,
let's
so
start there. So what is the apology for? Because I couldn't get
so
it from the video. So maybe you can tell me.
so if you're wrong, and which Killer Mike's not gonna do because his ego won't allow him or his pride.
Okay. Before we hold
If
on,
you're
okay,
if you're just wrong, he
okay.
he 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 was saying don't even vote at all.
I
So
didn't hear
if
that.
that okay, so I heard it, right? So and like when Killer Mike, when you speak for decades, at what point do I get to say I know you? Because you've been speaking and speaking and speaking. Bernie Sanders lost. You said, okay, I'm just not going to vote for nobody then. That's what you said.
That's not the only
So
thing
if
I
that's
said.
the case,
That's not fair. That's not fair.
okay,
That's not
so,
fair.
but I mean, so you can't say you don't have the ability to say I was wrong. You just don't. You kill him and kill him. You don't have the your pride will not that sir.
You still haven't answered my
Okay,
question.
okay. So, but I did answer it right. There are people out there that will say, "Well, vote independent." Well, you're wrong.
Why?
All of you are wrong.
Why?
Killer Mike was wrong because uh, you ha- uh, each party is built off institution, connection, and relations. When I say connection, I meant with during the business world, the corporate world, private sector, public sector connections. If you vote for a party with no infrastructure, no connection, no history, no relations, then why is that intelligent? To be in politics, you need relationships, right? Because I have to know the other people so I can call them so we can poly, what I mean? We can politic ditto, slang democracy, you feel me? So if I'm voting independent, a party that has no connections, a party that has no foundation, a party that has no financial backing. Is that right or wrong? That would be technically wrong. At the end of the day, that's a wasted vote. Now, again, everybody has the right to disagree with me. I'm just telling you about if you're voting for a party that don't even have internal connections or finances, how far do you think that party is going to get? Or they don't even have the infrastructure to pull votes. So you're voting for a car with no tires. I mean
So
that's a
your argument. So just so I can summarize your argument, you're saying Killer Mike owes black people an apology for telling them to vote independent, or if they, and what you're saying, what I'm
I'm
doing,
just telling you
if
what
you
he
don't
said.
vote, if you don't vote Democrat, if he's not telling people to vote for Democrats, then he owes black people an apology. Is that what you're saying?
He can do what he want. I didn't say it, but he doesn't have it. He doesn't have the heart to apologize. You know, you
Okay,
got to be a
you
certain
have
type
to
of
have, you have to
human
have,
being
you have to have something to
to
apologize
tell
for, and I
somebody,
haven't
I'm
heard you
no, no,
articulate.
no. I'm articulating where he was wrong. You led people in the wrong direction, sir. Yeah, when by telling people, "Oh well, I'm just not going to vote at all," that is
That's a
a
right. You have a
wrong
right. You have
direction.
a right to do that.
Okay, but you
You're not
don't get to
forced to vote.
speak. You don't get to speak. Here's why. If here's why. If me or you are, or if me and you are in business, we do business together. You put some of your energy in, I put some of my energy in. Then another guy comes in, he doesn't put no energy in. Why does he have equal say to us when we put our energy in? This guy put no energy in, but he's speaking equal to us. That's the problem with that vote. And you don't have you're too pride he's too prideful to say, "Oh, that's the wrong decision." Stacey Abrams in Atlanta, black woman that wanted black funding for black people, right? But what are we talking about? Like, and another thing is I study politics. How many of y'all study it?
Yeah, you're,
So
but
you're talking without
I gotta stop you though. You're
when
talking
when
about
when
Atlanta,
when 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 white folks was
you don't
threatening to
live
kill
here.
her, when
You
white
don't live
folks was
here.
threatening to kill Stacey Abrams, where
You
was
don't
Killer
live.
Mike?
You don't live. But
I
let me
don't.
let me.
I'm a black man in America. How
You don't
Atlanta
live,
is that?
but you don't. But you
How
don't.
Atlanta is that?
You're talking about something thousands of miles away. I'm actually here.
Okay,
She wasn't
so
a
when
good.
they were
She
threatening to,
wasn't.
okay, so I don't care where you're at. I'll pull up on any block.
She wasn't a good candidate,
I
Leroy.
pull up
She just
on.
wasn't.
No, yeah, yeah, but
She
if it's
wasn't.
about if
That's
yes,
why
she
she lost.
was.
That's why she
Yes, she
lost.
was.
But she
Yes,
wasn't a
she
good candidate.
was.
She did
Okay,
not.
so
I didn't.
in the election, okay, in the election, you got Kamala and Trump. How hard is that decision really? How hard is that? How hard is that?
You would have to ask.
It's difficult.
You would have to ask a Kamala
It's
supporter or
difficult.
Trump supporter. You have to ask one
It's
of the two.
difficult. You okay? You we got again, people.
Let's go
We
back.
have two choices. How hard is that choice? It was so difficult for you to wrap your brain around, right? Okay, so it's like we lost the Voting Rights Act. Now Killer Mike's is stressing voting. You probably should be quiet, sir. You know what I mean? Now you're gonna say, well, I've done this and that in the community. So if you doing this and that in the community means that other people that's done things in the community aren't allowed to speak. That's what I'm saying. Oh, I've hired people. So other people that have hired people, they're not allowed to speak because you hired people. I've opened up businesses. Other people that open up business, they're not allowed to speak too. So I'm just saying, sir, when you talk about losing something like the voting rights, and now you want to champion voting, but sir, before that you didn't want to vote at all. When Bernie Sanders lost, you felt hurt about that, but that even though I agree with you, I don't agree with a voting on a car with no tires. I don't think cars without tires roll very far.
Let me take
But
let me take, so let's
but you were wrong, sir.
let me
You were
take
wrong. You were wrong.
let me take you back. So you're saying that he did not support Stacey Abrams and he was wrong. Do you know who the governor of Georgia is right now?
We can play tit for tat.
No,
He
no,
was
no,
wrong.
I'm asking you, do you know who she lost to and twice? She lost to him twice. Who the governor
We
of
lost
Georgia?
the whole entire country in the election. But go
No,
ahead, bro.
let's go. I want to break down your argument because I'm in Georgia, so I want to speak to Stacey Abrams. Brian
But
Kemp.
the argument is that he didn't
Brian
want to vote
Kemp.
at all.
Brian Kemp is the governor of Georgia, and but his tenure, and I just kind of broke it down. His tenure in Georgia, Georgia has been named the top number one state for business for 12 consecutive years, a streak that's been maintained through Governor Kemp's tenure. He has record job creation with 219,000 new jobs and attracted 1,800, no, $108 billion in
How
investment.
long has he been governor?
Companies
12
like
years?
companies like Rivian. Who you think is going to be manufacturing these cars? Who you think is going to be working in these plants? People that look like you and me. Uh, Rivian came to
It,
Georgia. They're building a new their cars
allegedly.
in Georgia. That's the plan is actually being built.
Allegedly.
Hyundai came.
You're every 100% of y'all are black. And Killer Mike has said this too. When everybody is black, you don't see no other option. Everybody is black. Killer Mike has said himself, all he ever knew was black people. That's his words. So you don't see nothing else but black people. So in your mind, it's a win-win because this person's black, this candidate's black, everybody's black.
Uh, Let me finish. Governor Kemp has also returned 7.5 billion to taxpayers, which he has done. You know, I've seen it. I've actually seen this.
I'm not
But
arguing none of this point though.
so, so if he, I mean,
You
he did.
didn't want to vote at all. That was a
Okay.
wrong decision. Like not voting at all is a
But see, I
wrong
think people,
decision.
I think it's a wrong decision just to assume that somebody's black, that the other person that won didn't do a good job.
I'm
So
not
people,
arguing that.
I watch
I'm not
people,
arguing that.
these other podcasts. Well,
I'm not
he
arguing
didn't
that.
support Stacey Abrams. Well, how did? Okay, what's the state of Georgia like now? Did the person that won do a good job or not?
I'm not arguing either way. You kill again, Killer Mike. Your issue was you said I don't like Donald Trump. Therefore, I'm not voting at all. That was a wrong decision, sir. Now I know that I may be taking. I know that Killer Mike, if he was here, he may come back and say, "Well, I didn't say that. I didn't. My exact words were X, Y, Z, sir, sir. You didn't like one side of the equation, so your recourse was to just not even place your vote at all." So, and then a bunch of other people think that's logical. And then it leads to a bunch of other independent arguments. It leads to a bunch of whataboutism. The whole thing that you're portraying is both parties are the same. That shows a lack of understanding politics when
Same,
people are the same.
same.
If I walk into a if I walk into if I walk into a room with
You
a
said they were the same.
thousand when I walk into a group or when I walk into a room with 1,000 people and say all of you are the same,
You said
that
they were the
shows a
same.
that shows a lack of
You
understanding what
you told me
details are.
you
The
told me
parties are not
you
the
told me they
same.
were the same. You said it was the
The
same.
parties are
Your quote
not
to
the
me
same.
was the same. It was two different wings on the same bird.
Okay.
That's what
Oh
you
yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, they are both in government. Yes. So
No.
yes,
What you
they
meant
are
was
both in
what
government.
you meant
But
was
are
it
a
was the same
thousand
bird.
people all the same person? No, that is not correct. Are the both parties are the same? No, they are not correct. Day one, Trump said all these black people fired. That's day one. Everybody with a position on a federal level, on I'm talking about at the high level, all the black people on the high level terminated, no questions asked. Everybody fired. Then all that black stuff in our museums that mention slavery, erase it. Then he went down. There's a bunch of things he did, but legal protections under the Housing Act, erase it. DEI, erase it. The teachings in school of Black history, erase it. Now it's the Voting Act, erase it. Sir, you wanted to not vote at all. So yes, you were wrong. See what I'm
So
saying? If you didn't like this direction that the president is taking the country in, you had another option. People are thinking that means the other option has to be perfect in order for you to support. No, the other option does not have to be perfect. But when you say, "Well, I just won't vote at all because that's the smarter move," no, sir.
So explain this to me then.
No,
So
no.
explain this one what's on the screen right now, Leroy. Explain that to me then.
Explain what?
You're saying that
Explain what?
every black person that doesn't have
Look
doesn't
it
have a
up.
job.
So look it up. If I'm
What's
a
that say?
liar, if
What does
I'm
that
a liar,
what does that say on the
look it
screen
up.
though, Leroy? What does that
We
say on
can
the screen?
cherry pick all day. We could cherry pick all day. But you believe Trump to be a certain way. My reality shows something different. You know what I mean? But again, if I'm a liar, people, well then just go into and
I
check my.
think
If I'm a liar, go
so.
look it up. Did we
So
just use art?
explain it to me. I'm from outer space, right? Explain it to me
I
because
shouldn't have to explain no more because you guys are too smart. You
I
guys are
think
too
you
smart
still haven't
for
explained to me
explanation.
who you still and I think you laid out an argument. You
I
laid
didn't
out
explain why he should apologize still.
to black
Still?
people. I don't know why you should.
So
I'm
you'll
not.
never understand. If y'all didn't hear what I just said,
I
you'll
don't. I'm
never
not
understand.
convinced. I'm not convinced. So
Okay,
tell me.
so not voting
So
at all, it makes you wrong.
I think you have a right to
Makes
vote.
you
You have a right to
wrong.
vote or not to vote.
Okay, so do your tax dollars give you a right to say, give you a right in politics? If I want the playground down the street cleaned up and reworked and to be looking nice, and I pay taxes here, don't I have the right to want the park next to me to look a certain way?
Leroy, you think the taxes that we
So
pay,
y'all want to pay taxes, but you don't want to vote.
Leroy,
You
Leroy,
want to pay
Leroy,
taxes.
Leroy, you know how this works.
You want
Those,
to pay tax.
Leroy,
So
Leroy, you know,
so don't pay taxes
Leroy, you know how this
because you're
works.
paying for.
Our tax dollars don't dictate much.
But
Political,
but have y'all all
the
pay
political
taxes?
parties are funded by super PACs and lobbyists.
E- e-
Those people,
okay. So yes.
that money controls the agenda, not our tax dollars.
Okay.
You
So
know
when
that.
you're
You know
when
that, Leroy.
so
You know
so
that.
so okay. So be happy with the ghetto. Everyone that's in the ghetto now, and you see all this poverty and all this destruction and all
Why
this
haven't
death,
they cleaned it up?
accept because you don't feel your vote matters. So accept the destruction of your
Vice
situation.
President Harris raised the most money in political history. That money could have been used to clean up
My G, my G,
all the ghettos. All the
my G.
ghettos. All the ghettos could have been
Trump,
cleaned up with
Trump
the
could
money
do
that
that
we
with his
raised.
light bill money.
Okay.
Trump could do that with his light bill
And
money.
here's my point. They both are not
He,
interested in doing that.
Kamala from
Both
the hood.
both
This is
parties
not the same
both
thing.
both parties are not interested in doing that.
Both parties are not the same. Let me tell you. Let me
They
tell you
are.
guys
They're
something.
both not interested in
Voting,
cleaning up the
voting.
ghettos.
Okay,
They're both
y'all
not.
think that things just happen for no reason because y'all don't know better. Things don't happen for no reason.
I'm
So when
saying
you make the argument that everything is the same, what you're saying is nothing matters.
I'm saying both
That's
parties
they're
are
not the
funded by
same. They're
lobbyists
not the
and
same.
super
They're not the
PACs
same. And when you're making
and
and
donors.
Killer Mike, he promotes the argument that, well, they're all the same. They do the exact same things. They all say the same things. They all sign the same bills. They all generate the same politics. They all speak the same way. They all no, sir. No, 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 no. We're talking about thousands of people. So, no, there are differences between them, sir. They are not all the same. When it comes down to a vote and the vote doesn't go your way, then you say they're all the same. Had the vote gone another way and things were different, you would say there are differences here. Now you would say, oh, there are differences. There are differences between Barack Obama and Trump. People could say, well, no, they're just the same. No, sir. No, they're actually different. And not being able to recognize a difference is a lack of detail. You people don't honor detail. The lack of thinking that your vote means nothing. Well, I just won't vote at all because that's smart. That's the argument. Not voting at all is smart. Sir, that was wrong. And the reason why they're trying this hard, they're gonna redraw the whole country It's going to be just a sea of red with little blue dots.
Well, didn't
So,
wait.
again,
Not to cut you off. Not to cut you.
Louisiana, that's a quarter black.
Didn't
If you're a
Gavin
black person
didn't
in
California
Louisiana,
just redraw? Didn't California just redraw
you,
the district?
but bro, it's not this
I'm
hard to
asking.
understand, man. It's not this hard to understand.
But I'm
Where
asking you.
where are y'all
I'm
not
asking.
getting
I'm
it?
asking you a genuine question.
Where are y'all not getting it?
Didn't
All
California
around.
didn't
Where are y'all not?
California
Where are y'all
didn't
not
Cali?
getting it?
No, I'm asking you. What's the
Okay,
difference? They're the
okay.
same.
Let me do. I want y'all to pull up the Voting Rights Act, and then pull up
You
Martin
didn't
Luther
answer my
King,
question. You didn't
and
answer
then
my
okay,
question.
because your question's non-consequential.
It is. You're saying that they're
So
probably
your
not.
question's
You're saying you. I'm just
non-consequential.
repeating. I'm repeating what you just said. You said they're
Yes,
redrawing the
yes,
line.
Ron. Yes, Ron. Lines are in the physical roads change. So when physical roads change, yes, new construction happens, which changes the lines. Yes, but when you're talking about removing the Voting Rights Act, y'all really need to pull up Martin Luther King and kind of understand what your history is telling you, and we don't do that. So when you don't understand the civil rights movement, many of y'all don't understand that. I know you don't, because as soon as I mentioned the Voting Rights Act, you would understand why it's important if you understood civil rights movement, but you don't. So again, it's non-consequential to you because you feel like not voting makes you smart. You feel like your vote goes nowhere. You feel like everybody is the same, that there's no differences here. You feel like all the policy is the same. There's no difference there. So you don't respect details, and that's the problem. So yes, Killer Mike, I don't want you to apologize because it won't be genuine. You don't uh, he has said himself, he doesn't care about y'all. He said that
That's
himself.
false. That's
Oh,
false.
okay. So y'all go watch his interview with Shannon Sharp when he says, "I got mine. I'm rich already. Y'all broke. Y'all go peep that. Y'all
It's
go
true.
peep that. Y'all go peep." So he should be quiet then. Now, if he still wants to speak and still wants to talk, which he's gonna do fine, he's not gonna apologize. Fine. But yes,
There's
you were
nothing to it.
wrong.
I want to just be
Not
really clear.
voting. Not voting. When you say I don't like this person, so I won't vote at all.
You have a
That
right.
was wrong,
You have a
sir.
right. You have a right to do
That
to
was wrong.
vote. You
You
have a
have
right.
a right to be a dumbass.
You have a right
So,
to
but
vote or
you
not to
are a
vote.
dumbass.
You have a right to vote or not to vote. You have a
Yeah,
right.
but not voting and then later raising your voice in
If you don't feel like
concern,
you're getting anything for your vote,
letting your
if
wait.
you don't feel like you're getting anything tangible for your vote, then you have the right to say, you know what, I'm not getting anything tangible for my vote. Then I'm going to withhold
But
my
you
vote.
got you when you get a paycheck, is it tangible? Y'all got
Yeah,
paychecks. When the taxes are taken out of your paycheck, isn't
it's
that tangible?
tangible. It's tangible. Yeah,
So
you're
so
exchanging your time for money. It's
so
tangible.
if
Yeah,
so if I'm paying taxes, don't I got the right to speak?
you do. And you have a
Okay,
right to
so
you have a
so
right to
so
if you have a
if,
right to
if
give you two options, you have a right to walk into a restaurant if you're
okay,
hungry and
but
walk
now I
in
don't have that
and,
right.
and walk right out.
Okay, but so now I don't. Just so everybody's clear, me being a black man, I don't have that right no
So
more
you can't vote.
because my vote will be stricken off the record.
How? Tell me how.
Because without the Voting Rights Act, my vote will be looked at as and valued as whatever my taxes is valued as. But so if the guy down the street is on his golf course and he pays and he's a multimillionaire, his vote counts. My vote, however, because of now there are no rules to whose vote can matter. My vote really, y'all heard of an electoral college, right? So that shows you right there that something's up. Now, now also, y'all heard of redlining, and you know the Voting Rights Act, and you know it's not just about voting. It's race involved in that decision. Y'all know this. Y'all know this. So why, when I'm saying something that y'all know to be a fact, y'all all know, y'all grew up on Martin Luther King, you listen to his speeches. He said the same shit I'm saying. So if y'all know this, so what is wrong about it? So I mean, where am I wrong at? The where am I wrong at? You think that they're going this hard if your vote didn't matter? Y'all think they're going this hard if your vote didn't matter? Now again, you have the right to not vote, but then that gives you the right to shut up. Because here's why. Because non-participation, you did not participate at all. So when they close the school in your neighborhood and you complain about, oh, they just closed this school. Now I gotta go way over here and this, that, and that. Bro, sir, you said you didn't vote at all. You see what I'm like? Why are you now?
That's a difference. There's a difference in
That
seeing.
is wrong, sir. You didn't vote at all.
There's a difference. If you see two candidates and you don't like either candidate, you have a right not to vote. You can vote
Okay,
independent.
but then be quiet too. Just
Yeah,
be quiet.
you can say, yeah.
Why? What are you speaking on? You didn't vote at all.
Again, my main
How are
point
you
is this.
speaking?
My main point is this. I think Killer Mike deserves a little bit more respect, and I don't think he's
I
he
don't.
deserves.
I don't respect nothing.
I think he deserves more respect. I think these
For what?
podcasters,
For
if you
what?
don't, they should. These clickbait podcast titles are
Me?
ignorant. They're off
Well,
base.
what's ignorant about what I just
Disrespectful.
said? Though?
I'm just saying
Just on the detail
on the detail. On the
of
detail.
not voting. Look, he didn't like a particular candidate. And he didn't like that his man wasn't nominated. So I'm not going to vote at all. Now, listen, here's the counter. Here's the counter. Even though Bernie lost, he was cheated. We know that. He still represents a side that is about economics for black people. So even if you said, I'm going to vote in that direction and I'm still mad, that's still voting in your better
Well, we
interest.
had
That
we
that that's his words. Because you liked Bernie Sanders. Why did you like Bernie Sanders?
so why
Because
didn't
Bernie Sanders believes
so
black folks are getting economically fucked.
let me ask you a question though. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a
Come
question.
on.
Let me ask you a question.
Why did you like Bernie?
This is a serious question. Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. You know,
When?
with President Biden, he had all three. He had all three branches. President Obama had it for a little bit. I mean, I think the Republicans took the majority of
Unemployment was 4.5, most job
So
creations
why, if it was
in
so important,
the mid 90s.
if the Voting Rights Act was so monumental and important, why didn't the Democratic presidencies and Congress do anything to establish it more? Why? So why didn't
Establish what more?
why didn't they reinforce the Voting Rights Act if it was that monumental and that
It
critical?
was already there.
But no, if they knew that there was a possible threat that it could have been, threatened or or diluted, why didn't they do anything
They
to
they they asked they asked you to vote. They
but
asked.
but just asking to vote and for what? Vote for what?
Because people think that first of all, they think everything Democrats are responsible for everything negative. That's one. Two, they think that you just snap your finger and stuff gets done because they snap their finger. That's not really how reality works. This
Okay.
is about voting. This is about voting. So when Democrats lose a vote, people say, see, the Democrats ain't doing nothing. But they lost the vote. I don't think y'all understand what losing the vote means. Now, on top of that, when you're reinforcing something that already exists, it already exists. So yeah, they could reinforce it by asking you to vote. But then also, the other argument is, well, racism doesn't even exist. That's the other argument. So if that's the way that the other side actually feels, because they feel that racism doesn't even exist, we're all on equal playing field. Everybody's has an equal economics and equal schooling and equal health care. I always tell people, drive around your neighborhood. They don't do that. Drive around go to the ghetto,
Who are those?
then
But
go to the suburbs.
who represents
Look,
those neighborhoods?
go to both parties. If you
No,
tell me, if
no,
you tell me
no, no,
Republicans,
no.
if you tell me Republicans don't live within 5 minutes of the ghetto,
Who
then
represents the
then
districts where those schools are? Now let's not talk around the fact now.
okay, so only
Who
Democrats are evil.
who
All
are
right, only them.
The schools that
Only
you
them.
speak of,
Only them. There is no poverty around a Republican.
I didn't say that.
Everyone is doing
But
great.
you're not talking about those, Leroy. Let's keep it a buck. We're
They're
talking about our communities, right? Who are the representatives of our
both,
communities? What party?
both,
No,
both,
you're not keeping in a
both.
stack, man.
You're trying to tell me Republicans don't represent black neighborhoods too?
You can't keep it a stack. You can't keep it a stack. Who
Republicans don't where do Republicans live? Where do they live? Do they they live in America, right?
well the play
So
they
how do
live in
you
places
live in America?
they live in places where people that vote the way you vote are moving to in droves. That's where they live.
Not us.
Like states
Not
like
us.
Tennessee,
Not
states like
us.
Texas, state like
Not
Florida.
us. Not us. Not us. Not
That's
us.
where they live.
Not us. Not us. Not us.
You look at
Pull
the
up, pull
U-Haul
up, pull
data.
up on their golf course.
You look at
Us,
the U-Haul data. Where are these who represents the
fuck
places?
your vehicle.
Let me ask you
In
a
your
question.
vehicle. To the golf course. Go to the golf course, my brother, and see how many of us you see. Now in Atlanta, you're going to see all us, 100%. Go outside of that. Go to the golf resorts, the golf resorts, the golf clubs, the yacht clubs. How many of us do you see there? Since everything is so equal and everything is so great.
You won't answer my question, but that's okay.
No, but I'm answering your question. And yes, Ron, actually, Democrats and Republicans live in the same cities. That's just a fact. So when we say, well, only Democrats live there, that is also wrong. Republicans and Democrats both live in the same cities. That is a fact. That is a fact. So you can't escape that.
Yeah,
You can't say, well, no, Republicans don't live there. They don't live in that city.
the fact
That's
that
false.
the fact that I know is I look at the U-Haul data, one-way rentals. Most people are leaving blue states and they're going to red states, and I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is.
Because almost all of them are red. So where are you going to go?
Because the policies are so bad.
Even the blue states are red.
Policies are so bad. The policies are so bad that these people. Starbucks.
You think policy only has Democratic signatures?
Starbucks is leaving Washington. They're leaving
You think
Seattle. You know where they're going? They're going to Tennessee. You know why? Because the policies are so bad.
okay? So Democrats are responsible for one recession. Republicans are responsible for 10. Democrats have created tens of millions of more jobs than Republicans, and I'm talking about. Let me preface. I'm talking over the century. Okay, so Democrats have created more jobs. They have created more jobs, well-paying jobs. They have created more jobs with protection, with unionized protection. Now, when you go the other route, though, now again, Republicans are responsible for 10 recessions. We're in a recession now, but the news can't report it because if they report it, that's the end for them. But again, 10 recessions to one. How come they are never responsible for no recessions? And 10 of them is on their plate. You think that policy only has Democratic signatures on it? Like, really? You don't think it's no Republican signature on policy? It's just Democratic. It's just
I didn't say that. I didn't
so.
say that.
So when we talk about entire cities, no, it's not one party that's running that whole city. It's two parties there.
For the most
There's
part.
two parties there.
For the most
The reason why the other party doesn't face no real exclusion is because they closed businesses. They close schools. They terminate people from their jobs. So when I'm firing people from their job, ain't no consensus on reporting that. You know what I mean? But that's not wealth creation. That's not wealth creation. Republicans close business. They stop hiring. Like, so why is that such a good thing? Okay, so y'all look at the economy now. If y'all are happy with the grocery store prices. Y'all are happy with the gas station prices. Y'all are happy with the unemployment rate. Y'all are happy with no protection for black people under the law. Y'all are happy with that. If you go to work tomorrow and your boss says get out of here, he does not have to give you a reason. No more. That's gone. That's go. You could bring it up in court and say, "Look, I was fired. I've been working here a decade. He fired me for no reason. The court can't do nothing about it.
Again, all this is
That protection is gone.
to me, a lot of this is and Tariq said this on his podcast the other day. A lot of this is a lot of
Tariq's
fear
the same.
mongering.
No voting. I just
It's a
won't
lot of
vote
it's a
at
lot of,
all.
it's a lot of fear mongering, and they're going to use this to make people afraid, and they're not really going to tell people the details of all these things. And you have
Unemployment
no
rate is 7.5 in Black America.
it's no tangibles. It's not offering any solutions. There's nothing. It's about
A job is not a tangible.
fear-based tactics. Oh, you got to go vote for Democrats, and then that'll solve everything.
Biden created more jobs than any president.
No,
It- the-
those jobs were jobs that were created because they took a lot of those jobs away due to restrictions and mandates.
all right, he created more jobs than any president, except for a small time period when Clinton was there. And yes, these are all circumstantial and stuff. Yes, there's some circumstantial stuff there. However, the argument is that creating jobs is worse than not creating the job at all, and also closing job. That's not work. That's not better, sir. It would be better to create the jobs. That's just better. I'm sorry. Closing jobs or not creating jobs is not a better way than creating jobs. Like the
We'll
like
have to agree. We'll have to
what are we
agree.
talking about?
We have to agree to disagree.
Tariq's the same way. Tariq's the same way. If I don't like this person, if I don't like that person, well, I won't vote at all. But then I'm going to talk about politics every day. But sir, you did not going to vote at all. You see what I'm saying? Like you're telling everybody else what they need to be doing, but you're not going to vote at all. You know why you should still vote? Because even if you disagree with one guy. Do you know when you vote, there's like 20 people there on the fucking ballot? So you're not only not voting that one time, but you're not voting for all these other dots, like all these other people that handle all this other jurisdiction and districts and parts of the government. You just not voting at all. And
Well,
now you think you're smart.
well, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one, Leroy. I want to go back to my original point again. I don't want people to confuse me as some uh, right wing pundit. I'm not. I'm just saying, Killer Mike. I have not seen any evidence. Leroy did lay out an argument. He presented some things that we need to kind of unpack and kind of look at. But even with Leroy presented, I still don't think Killer Mike owes people an apology or black people. He's done too much in the community for that. And I think we need to, we maybe he should have a conversation or a continued conversation about things. Maybe that, but he doesn't owe us an apology. Leroy feels differently. He feels like he does, but he told people
Well, it's not about owing an apology, but when you can't even say you're wrong at all, when you are not capable, if we're talking about a vote versus no vote, what is right? What is right or wrong? You don't have to say you're wrong, but no vote at all. I don't know why that's taken as serious. Like, well, I just won't vote then. Oh, that's fine. But now you want me to take that serious. Oh, like no voting is like that's not serious, my friend. And even if you were serious, and I hate to again my original point, all of you are wrong. All of you with this, like, well, I'll just vote independent. I understand the mentality. I understand the mentality. But why is buying a car with no wheels considered smart?
so
Why? Do
just so
you
we're
know the independent party has no wheels on their
so you're
car?
saying you're fine. I just want to get you on the record. You're fine with someone vote either Democrat or Republican, but not independent. You're okay if they vote Republican. You have no problem with that.
I'm telling you, when you're voting for a party that doesn't have the money to compete, then you're wasting your vote.
So you would vote.
When you're voting for a party that does not exist, independent party does not exist. I know on paper it says it exists. I understand that you're saying it says it. I'm telling you in the real world, it don't even exist. So it's like, come on now. Come on. Come on. Like you gotta pick and choose. And people with this, they're all the same, sir. How many different names do you see on the ballot? It's like it's a bunch of how are you telling me, and by their names, it says what they represent, it says what they've been pushing. You could go on Google and see. You're telling me all these people on this list all speak the same way? Really? You're telling me all the people on this list represent one block? Really? So it's like, I think y'all should look at that ballot a little more closely, because that ballot is not just um is not nothingness. The stuff on that ballot exists. It exists in real life. So what are we talking about? So yes, what you were going to ask me right now, yes, I believe that if you're going to vote, it makes more sense to pick between the two parties, because those two parties have infrastructure in Washington. The other option doesn't even have infrastructure there. What I mean by infrastructure is personnel to run that party. They don't even have that. So you sure you want to vote for an empty building? Okay,
On that note, that was a good point. We're going to segue. I know, Leroy, we're gonna end the show on some hip hop. You wanted to talk about the production, West Coast production specifically. Let's end the show
Yeah.
on that note. So, what album did you want to speak about?
But that was Jay Worthy's album, Once Upon a Time. Just with the production there, right? You have different kinds of boom bap, right? But in this particular way, a lot of West Coast stuff, like I said, is cruising music, and they built their tree of sound off, funk music, off oldies, off disco music too, and I just mean by the energy of that, because over the years, people, it's in the music, just like funk music or what we did in the 90s. But that particular way of sampling is very true to the West Coast aesthetic. And that's all I was just saying is about production. You know what I mean? It's just that part there. You know what I mean? But we kind of abruptly ended that. And at the end of the day, though, man, um, as far as leadership in our community goes, a person that just that deems themselves to be a perfect person, or has no, their decision making is always right, in a country with 1,000 different cities in it. I think that it's okay to say, I'm not always right, because that's impossible. It would be impossible as a leader of tens of millions of people for me to always be right. That would just be impossible. Now, if y'all think that, okay, but I want to follow someone that'd be like, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Most times, my decision making is gonna be right. There are some things that I'm gonna have blinders to, because I can't see everything on the ground, my friend. I can't see everything the country is huge. But that's my opinion, man. You know what I mean? Because I think across the board, in politics, outside of politics, just as far as men, you don't see a man admit that he was wrong about nothing. He have a gun to his head. He'll be like, "I'm never wrong. I'll just take the bullet." And I think that sometimes you need to say, okay, there are some other options here. But you know what I'm saying? So, because as humans, by default, we're gonna be wrong about something. That's just a fact of life. If you now, a lot of people, they be like, well, I'm never wrong about everything. 100% of everything I say is right, and that's fine if you honestly believe that. But you know what I'm saying? Most likely something is right is wrong about what you're saying, sir. You know what I'm saying? So that's just life, like life in general. You
No
know.
doubt, no doubt. Well, this was a great conversation tonight. We talked about a plethora of topics. AZ, dope album, Do or Die 3. Check it out. Wiz and Currency, check it out if you haven't.
I
Jay
got more.
Worthy, the production. You said what?
I got more. The RZA movie.
RZA
Y'all
movie.
need
I
to
got to
go.
see the trailer. I haven't seen the trailer. On the next show, I want to watch the trailer. Have you seen the movie though? Is it out?
Yeah, I watched the movie. Yeah.
How was the movie? No, wait, let me see the movie first. Let me watch the movie so we can do our Cisco and Ebert type deal. Let me watch the
One,
movie
one,
before we go there.
Okay, so y'all watch the movie and just judge the energy of that. But one final point, not to that point, but just overall, right? They're on the show that on the Company Man, which you were referencing. They were talking about revolution. Well, one person brought up revolution. The Vince Staples video has a certain aspect to it, a violence to it, right? So, revolutionary speaking, we have one idea of revolution, right? There's another. I can destroy you without ever hurting you. I could destroy you by making you feel like everything is great, and that's what y'all don't understand. If I'm up here on a tower, I'm looking down at y'all down there. I could take over the upper room and destroy you, and you'll never know. You'll live the rest of your existence without nobody putting hands on you, without you because you don't realize you can't feel it. You can't feel when people are losing their jobs, you won't personally feel it. So everything for you is great when people, you know what I mean? So it's like, and the reason why I say that because in the Vince Staples video, you got a bunch of people getting killed, right? But and in a revolutionary sense, that involves warfare or whatever, so people dying or whatever. But you don't always have to fight a war to win a war. I could take over an entire country without hurting anybody. I could do it with a signature. If you get the right person to sign the right legislation, you could take over the whole country and nobody will be hurt. Nobody will feel it, but you could destroy them by just removing protections in the policy. Over the course, their children will grow up with less money than them. Their children will grow up with less money than them. It will go down and down and down until that family is close to zero or paycheck to paycheck. I've just destroyed your whole I've just destroyed your whole family without ever touching you, without ever harming you. Well, you see what I'm saying? That's what's being lost because y'all are waiting for some overtly aggressive presence to show you that it's hurting you. That's not how it works. It would be better for you to believe everything is great. That's how I could hurt you the most. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't even feel the pressure because it's not happening to you personally. So you can't even feel it. That's all I'm saying. When it comes to politics, we gotta know that too. Just because you don't feel it in your pocket, that's great for them. Because that means they didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. You're great. You aren't you feeling great? Yeah, what I'm
On that
saying.
note, on that nugget, we'll leave you here. This is the weekend rhyme. I'm your boy RKY Ron. That is
Yes,
Leroy
sir.
Green. Dope show. We'll be back at it sooner than soon, and we're gonna be a little bit more consistent in the coming days. So we'll be back at it. We'll be back at it. We'll be back at it. Make sure you hit
Appreciate
like
it.
and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this. Maybe have Killer Mike join the show at some point. But thanks for tapping in with us. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to rock with us. It's the weekend rhyme. Peace.
Peace, yo. Salute.